Fellow citizens of Africa, I greet you in the name of the Universal Negro Movement Association and African Community League of the World. You may ask, what organization is that? It is for me to inform you that the Universal Negro Movement Association is an organization that seeks to unite into one solid body the 400 million Negroes of the world. We link up the 15 million Negroes of the United States of America with the 20 million Negroes of the West Indies, the 40 million Negroes of South and Central America, with the 280 million Negroes of Africa for the purpose of bettering our industrial, commercial, educational, social, and political conditions. As you are aware, the world in which we live today is divided into separate race groups and distinct nationalities. Each race and each nationality is endeavoring to work out its own destiny to the exclusion of other races and other nationalities. We hear the cry of England for the Englishman, of France for the Frenchman, of Germany for the German, of Ireland for the Irish, of Palestine for the Jews, of Japan for the Japanese, of China for the Chinese. We of the Universal Negro Movement Association are raising the cry of Africa for the Africans, those at home and those abroad. There are 400 million Africans in the world who have Negro blood coursing through their veins. And we believe that the time has come to unite these 400 million people for the one common purpose of bettering their condition. The great problem of the Negro for the last 500 years has been that of disunity. No one or no organization ever succeeded in uniting the Negro race. But within the last 4 years, the Universal Negro Movement Association has worked wonders in bringing together in one fold 4 million organized Negroes who are scattered in all parts of the world, be it in the 48 states of the American Union, all the way to the islands and the countries of South and Central America and Africa. These 4 million people are working to convert the rest of the 400 million that are all over the world. And it is for this purpose that we are asking you to join our ranks and to do the best you can to help us to bring about an emancipated way. If anything praiseworthy is to be done, it must be done through unity. And it is for that reason that the Universal Negro Movement Association calls upon every Negro in the United States to rally to its standard. We want to unite the Negro race in this country. We want every Negro to work for one common object, that of building a nation of his own on the great continent of Africa. That all Negroes all over the world are working for the establishment of a government in Africa means that it will be realized in another few years. We want the elected and support of every Negro to make the dream a possibility. Already, this organization has established itself in Nigeria, West Africa, and is endeavoring to do all possible to develop that Negro country to become a great industrial and commercial commonwealth. Pioneers have been sent by this organization in Nigeria, and they are now laying the foundation upon which the 400 million Negroes of the world will build. If you believe that the Negro has a soul, if you believe that the Negro is a man, if you believe the Negro was endowed with this commonly given to other men by the Creator, then you must acknowledge that what other men have done, Negroes can't do. We want to build up civil, nation, government, industries of our own in Africa, so that we'll be able to have a God to rise from the lowest to the highest position in the African Commonwealth.
Rise up, my people, rise up. Wise up, my people, wise up.
Establishing a university dedicated to aeronautics and management at a time when Nigerian aviation industry is expanding and testifying is both timely and visionary. For many years, one of the most persistent challenges in our aviation sector has been the limited local capacity for advanced technical and managerial training to effectively compete with obtained in advanced climes. Too often, our young people with great passion for aviation have had to seek training abroad at considerable cost. The Isaac Bellamy University of Aeronautics and Management represent a bold step towards changing that reality.
What we have today here is actually a revolution, I must say. Why is this a revolution? It's actually the first in Africa. It's not only in the public and private sector, because what he's doing combines two, in fact, three of the critical sectors in the aviation ecosystem. In fact, government has not been able to do what he's doing because we have the flying school in Zaria and we have the African Aviation and Aerospace University, two different. And then we're also clamoring for MROs, three different sectors, three different critical sectors within our aviation ecosystem. The university combines the whole of the three. It is both a flying school, it is also to produce aviation professionals, and it also has an MRO. It's all three in one.
You will not just go and just get theory after 5 years and graduate, but you will at the end of the day get every year, every weekend, every public holiday, aside the idea of going for Ramadan fast holiday and Christmas, every other holiday will be spent in the hangar, flying, aircraft engine shop, landing gear shop, structural repair, sheet metal work, avionics, wheels and brake, and so on and so forth. So at the end of the day, you were producing a 21 years old boy or girl that can work unsupervised anywhere in the world. Number 14 of our schedule of tuition has to talk about giving those children competency in digital simulation that qualifies you to actually have the capability to walk from Lagos campus straight into Boeing, Mercedes, Range Rover, Airbus, and you can be useful, Rolls-Royce, Pratt & Whitney. So we are preparing. So what took us 20 years to learn in the industry, we are giving it to our children in 4 to 5 years. Wow. That is the whole idea.
Our goal is to significantly increase women's participation in STEM and technical fields through education, innovation, and targeted empowerment. In this regard, the ministry is delighted to announce its intention to partner with the Isaac Bellamy University of Aeronautics and Management to train an initial 100 young women across Nigeria's 6 geopolitical zones. Thank you so much. As the first batch of female trainees under this transformative collaboration.
And Nigeria may soon witness the unveiling of its first indigenous aircraft, a groundbreaking project being developed by students of the newly licensed Isaac Bellamy University of Aeronautics and Management. The founder of the institution, renowned aviator Isaac Bellamy, disclosed the plans in Abuja during the presentation of the university's operational license by the National Universities Commission (NUC). Bellamy, a former president of the National Association of Aircraft Pilots and Engineers, noted that after over 2 decades in the aviation sector, it was inspired to revive the glory days of Nigerian Airways by investing in practical aviation education. The new university, focused on aeronautic and management, was among 11 private universities granted licenses by the NUC, bringing the total number of universities in Nigeria to 295.
The whole idea is to see how we can produce products that will not just build aircraft, but will have certifications from Boeing, Airbus, Gulfstream, Embraer, and so on and so forth. Now, this is not what we intend to do. We've done it already, but at the level of certification level. We want to see how we can take it to the next level where our children, you can imagine your son or daughter at the age of 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, when they are graduating, they don't just have the NUC degree, but they are certified by the aircraft manufacturers. They are also having up to 7,000 to 10,000 hours on a live aircraft in our aircraft hangar, which is in Lagos. And they will also have European and Nigerian, which is the civil aviation license. That is what we need to do to see how we can also begin to export, manpower out of Nigeria like it used to be in the days of Nigerian Airways. So basically, that's what actually inspired this. This is what we are already doing. We have an aircraft hangar where we've been doing C-check, D-check. We've done things that have not been done in the past. Professor Jemetola is here, and we're building drones already. We're putting aircraft together. It is not a wish, it's what we're already doing. We just needed NUC to give us that stamp.
Rise up, my people, rise up. Wise up, my people, wise up.
This dam is absolutely colossal. And it's not in Europe or China, it's in Africa, in Ethiopia. On Ethiopia's western frontier, where the Blue Nile cuts towards Sudan, rises one of Africa's most audacious feats of engineering. Welcome to the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, an epic name for an epic mega project. It has been decades in the making, a symbol of Ethiopia's so-called economic miracle. And perhaps the boldest attempt yet to harness the Nile's waters. The scale defies imagination. It will generate more than 6,000 megawatts of electricity, over twice Ethiopia's current output. And its reservoir will hold 74 billion cubic meters of water, stretching across an area the size of a mega city. This mega dam isn't just concrete and steel. It is 10 million cubic meters of roller compacted concrete, 2 outdoor power stations, 3 spillways, and a vast saddle dam holding it all together. Its main wall towers 145 meters into the sky and stretches 1.7 kilometers across, a structure that has cost more than $4.8 billion. The journey began in 2011 with the dramatic diversion of the Blue Nile, a feat of engineering that allowed foundations strong enough to resist the weight of billions of tons of water. And for a decade, Ethiopians at home and abroad funded the project through bonds, taxes, and sheer national pride. But the Grand Renaissance Dam is more than Ethiopia's pride. It is also the region's greatest source of tension. Egypt, downstream, depends on the Nile for more than 80% of its water supply. Some 95% of Egyptians live within a few kilometers of the river. It is their lifeline. And Cairo fears that this mega dam could choke its flow with catastrophic consequences for its people, its economy, and its survival. Sudan, caught in between, sees both risks and opportunities. The dam could stabilize flows for farming, but it could also threaten its water security.
When we do projects here, it's not to harm the downstream countries. Since this resource is a common resource, we have to reasonably and equitably utilize it.
For Ethiopia, however, the equation is clear. Half its population still lacks electricity. GAD is their ticket to light, industry, and development. Talks between Ethiopia, Sudan, and Egypt have broken down. No binding agreement has been signed. The dam is already complete and generating power. The dispute now sits on the desks of diplomats and in the worries of millions downstream.
There is no reason that the downstream countries should complain on it, because this is our resources also. We have the right to develop.
The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is Africa's largest infrastructure project, a single wall of concrete that may reshape not just the Nile, but the destiny of nations. My name is Enoch Sikolia, and I am the Kenyan historian.
This mining is energy intensive. Here, they're using surplus electricity from Ethiopia's dams.
Ethiopia just flipped the script on global finance. While the world debates regulation, Addis Ababa is minting Bitcoin with rivers. Using the mighty Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam GERD, the country has turned raw hydroelectric power into digital gold, and it's earning millions in foreign currency while doing it. But behind the triumph lies a storm of questions. Who really benefits when a third of a nation's electricity powers machines instead of homes? Can a country still struggling to connect 15 million people to the grid afford to feed the blockchain instead? Let's find out. When the Ethiopian government announced in early 2025 that it was lifting its freeze on Bitcoin mining licenses, the world barely blinked. But within months, what started as a quiet policy reversal erupted into one of Africa's most transformative economic experiments. Suddenly, global mining giants began landing in Addis Ababa. Chinese-built rigs were shipped in by the container load, and Ethiopia, once better known for coffee and dams, was making headlines as a Bitcoin powerhouse. The decision wasn't born from hype, it was born from necessity. For years, Ethiopia faced an economic squeeze, ballooning import bills, a shortage of foreign reserves, and an ongoing challenge to attract foreign investment without surrendering sovereignty. The government, led by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, needed a solution that could generate hard currency fast, without IMF strings or Western loans. Bitcoin mining, powered by Ethiopia's untapped renewable energy, suddenly offered that answer. Behind the scenes, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, GERD, became the pivot of this entire plan. Completed after a decade of political defiance, sanctions, and threats from abroad, GERD stood not only as a symbol of independence, but as a literal powerhouse, capable of producing over 5,000 megawatts of clean electricity.
Rise up, my people, rise up. Wise up, my people, wise up.
A bridge just appeared across Lake Victoria, 3.2 kilometers long, fully Tanzanian funded, and now the longest in East and Central Africa. No loans, no donors, no warnings. How did Tanzania pull this off alone? Why now? And what does it change for Africa? Let's find out. Nobody was expecting it to be this massive. Nobody thought it would open this soon. And yet, just after sunrise on June 19, 2025, thousands of Tanzanians stood shoulder to shoulder near the edge of Lake Victoria, watching something almost surreal rise from the mist. The bridge didn't come with fireworks. It didn't need them. Its presence alone, stretching across the water like a giant spine, was louder than any cannon blast. Children climbed onto rooftops. Traders abandoned their stalls. And local fishermen, some of whom had never left their villages, stood silently as cars rolled across a structure they'd only heard rumors about. In a country where infrastructure often lags behind ambition, this felt like time bending. The John Pombe Magufuli Bridge, a name suddenly on everyone's lips, was no longer a drawing in some dusty urban planning file. It was real. It was solid. And it had arrived quietly, then all at once. What made this moment so electrifying wasn't just the bridge's size, though at 3.2 kilometers, it is now the longest in East and Central Africa. It was the sheer contrast between what stood there before, nothing but an unreliable ferry system, and what now lay before the eyes of an entire nation. One day, people were losing hours waiting in stagnant water. Next, they were crossing the lake in minutes, windows down, music on, waving at the past disappearing behind them. The media rushed to cover the event, but even seasoned journalists struggled to keep up. Some labeled it a miracle of African engineering. Others whispered that it felt staged, too perfect, too sudden. I thought this kind of thing only happened in Asia or Europe, one foreign correspondent was overheard saying. Not here, not now. But it did happen. And not in the capital, not in Dar es Salaam or Arusha, but in the often overlooked lake zone. That alone felt symbolic. The periphery had become the headline. And then there was the name, Magufuli. For some, it evoked memories of ambition, controversy, and grit. For others, it was a quiet reminder that legacies don't die when presidents do. They evolve, sometimes into steel and concrete. Naming the bridge after the late president wasn't just branding, it was a tribute. It was a message that this wasn't a one-time stunt, it was continuity. It was unfinished business being finished. As President Samia Suluhu Hassan walked across the bridge during the opening ceremony, she didn't promise a miracle. She didn't need to. The structure itself was the proof. She simply declared the bridge open, and the crowd erupted. Not in choreographed applause, but in raw, contagious celebration. It was the sound of a country watching itself do something extraordinary. But amid the cheers and flashing cameras, one question echoed louder than the rest. Where did the money come from? No donor logos, no aid banners, no foreign flags fluttering in the background. The usual fingerprints of international assistance were missing. And that raised eyebrows, not just in the crowd, but across the continent. Because if Tanzania had built this on its own, with no loans or hand-holding, then this wasn't just an engineering marvel. It was a threat to the old order. So, how did they do it? Where did the funds come from? And why has no one done this before? Behind closed doors, regional analysts weren't marveling at the engineering. They were dissecting the accounting. Because to pull off a $300 million project without loans in a developing country was, frankly, unheard of. It challenged assumptions that Africa must borrow to build. And it shattered the narrative that sovereignty must always come second to stability. The truth? Tanzania did something radical. It re-engineered its budgeting model to make room for something big without waiting for permission. In a series of quiet moves over several fiscal cycles, the government redirected internal revenue, much of it from gold, agriculture, and value-added tax, into a protected infrastructure fund. No flashy press conferences, no donor roundtables, just paperwork, patience, and persistence. According to leaked parliamentary budget memos from 2022 and 2023, certain large-scale imports were temporarily deprioritized to free up cash. Some subsidies were quietly trimmed. Non-critical state construction projects were paused. civil service expansion was delayed, not indefinitely, but long enough to make the bridge a priority. The philosophy was simple: spend once, spend smart, and own it completely. President Samia Suluhu Hassan didn't campaign on this kind of economic nationalism, but after inheriting the ambitions of her predecessor and watching the rising debt anxiety across Africa, she chose a different path. Instead of asking what the country could afford, she asked what it could reimagine. What makes this even more subversive is that it wasn't just about avoiding loans, it was about avoiding the strings that come with them. In typical large-scale African infrastructure projects, international lenders dictate timelines, hire foreign auditors, import labor, and often demand private sector concessions in exchange for financing. Tanzania walked away from all of it. The bridge was built not just with local money, but on local terms. The Magufuli Bridge is, in that sense, a financial firewall. It kept out the endless meetings, the loan conditionalities, the policy nudges disguised as advice. It shielded the project from devaluation risks, currency swings, and political leverage. That control, silent and unadvertised, might be the most powerful part of the story. But this quiet revolution wasn't just about budgets and balance sheets. The decision to fund the bridge independently has rippled outward. It's changed how Tanzanians see public money. Suddenly, the question isn't, what can foreign aid do for us? But what else can we do if we stop waiting? And people are watching. From Accra to Lusaka, from Kampala to Nairobi, policymakers are dissecting Tanzania's playbook. If one country can build the biggest bridge in East Africa without a cent of foreign debt, what else is possible? What else have we been told we can't do? But bold budgeting only means something if it leads to impact.
Rise up, my people, rise up. Wise up, my people, wise up.